Let me show you a couple of ways in order to edit different parts of the image in different ways, like make it so one part is yellow and one part is red, because, with anything in Photoshop, there's a million ways to approach it. So I'm just going to select and drag so I have all of these layers selected right now. And one way to test how many layers you have selected, Command Z to undo, is after you do the drag and hold thing, just to move them around. It's like, oh, okay, those are the layers that I want. And if there's one layer that you don't want, hold down Shift and then just click that layer. And now you just have the layers that you want right there. Sure, I could look it up in the layers palette, but that seems like a lot more work than it's worth. Now, there's a few things that I could do right here. One thing that I could do is I could group them all into a thing. There's a folder down here. It looks like a folder icon. It's called a group. Don't ask why. And if I click it, all of them go into a group, and I can turn that group now on or off. Fancy schmancy. Yes, you can nest groups. Yes, you can do all sorts of stuff with groups. Let's, for instance, say that I wanted to make this entire group yellow. If I were to add a layer, I'm going to do it the wrong way first because I love doing things the wrong way first. If I were to add a layer in right here, let's say a color balance layer, and make it yellow, you might think that that would only apply to the group, but you'll see that it actually applies to all of the layers. Look at the layers down here. It actually applies to everything in there. So putting a color adjustment layer inside of a group will still make it affect all of the layers underneath it. So I'm going to actually bring it above the group. So now what we have is, and let's actually get rid of these other layers so we don't need to worry about them. We have a group that has all of these in it. We have this text, which I'll turn off. And then we have this color adjustment layer. I want to introduce you to something that's really powerful called a clipping mask. And for now, all that you need to know about a clipping mask is if you have multiple elements on a page and you want a color adjustment layer to only affect specific elements, if you hold down Alt, so I'm holding down Alt right here, and you move your cursor in between the two layers, so not here, not here, but right here, and it turns into that fancy icon that you're seeing on the right in the layers palette, and you click, this happens. And let me actually make this color adjustment a little bit more extreme so you can really see what's happening right here. It goes from affecting, this is obviously a horrible, like I would never do that. Just for the sake of example, I'm holding down Alt and I'm between the two layers right now. It goes between affecting all of the layers and only affecting the layer, or in this case, layer group, that's directly below it. So if I were to create another color adjustment layer, and let's make this one, everything is red, and let's just make it so it's super duper obvious. Yes, I know these look terrible. Let's not comment. If I hold down Alt, holding down Alt, I can create something called a clipping mask. And the only thing you need to understand about clipping masks is it makes it so whatever that color adjustment layer is only affects the layer below. So holding down Alt, let's move this up here. Move this up here, and I'm just going to hold down Alt, turn it on, turn it off, so it only affects the layer that's directly below. Or if I Shift Select, so here we go, I Shift Selected, so you see all of these are connected, and I group them. Where do we have it? It looks like the color adjustment thing accidentally got sucked into this group, so I'm going to click and drag it out of the group. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Hold down Alt. I am holding down Control, so I'm getting something different. Hold down Alt. And then it will only affect the group. So it can affect a layer or it can affect a group. And this is a way to have it so different things of color adjustment are only affecting different parts of the image. So I'm going to bring down the opacity of this. So here we go. I'm going to bring down the opacity of this color adjustment layer. And I'm going to bring down the opacity of this color adjustment layer. And there we go. So now it's just kind of a really slight effect that's making one part of the image look one way and another part of the image look another way, and the type isn't affected at all. So it's just a really slight adjustment. So this was an introduction to 3 different things. I showed you layer groups right here. So there we go, layer groups, which are a dandy thing. I showed you how to do a clipping mask right here. All right, it was only 2 things, but those are great. And how to do a clipping mask with color adjustment. And that's a great way to just have it so the color is only adjusting a certain part of it. So let's start playing around with the way that all of these images are on the page, and then we'll move straight into this next section.